me just put the tweet out and then we'll get started. Okay, a little bit early this morning, just not by a whole lot, just about 5 minutes or so, I think. Because there's a few things I need to go over this morning before we get started, and I figured we'd go ahead and get that over with before our chatters start trickling in. First of all, there is maintenance, of course. It's supposed to last 3.5 hours, usual time. And I don't think there's any special update coming. I think recently they released the new Prime content, but I don't think I didn't really look over the notes or anything. So just be aware of that. Again, if you're sitting in the chat and would prefer to play before we have that lengthy of a downtime, go right ahead. This all goes to YouTube later, so it's not a big deal if you miss it live. Also, the residential renovation is currently ongoing. I think it started on the 10th and it is to last till the 17th. So you still have a couple more days to get in on that. And what that is, that's the new monthly, week-long kind of event. They used to have the sim chase and the space chase and all the other different kinds of chases that had different kinds of decor kits that became available for those weekend events. And they've changed that not too long ago to be just a kind of a rotating. I think they rotate the loot tables like every 3 months or something. So if you don't get it this time, then a couple months from now, this same one will rotate back around. I think this one is the Sim Chase version, so there's a lot of Elden looking stuff, pillars and other types of greenish gold decorations that you can pick up. As I understand it, there's also some animal NPCs like WildStars and Jabbits and things like that are also available from the residential renovation vendor. So if you want to get in on some of those goodies, I know several builders that have already partook of those extras. So that's always great. And so yeah, just don't miss out on that. Again, you got a couple days to finish up on the residential renovation thing. Speaking of renovation, we're about to undertake some in real life renovation here at my house. We're getting our roof redone. That's supposed to start right on the middle of next week, which is our usual stream time. So I'm going to mention right now that we will not be having a housing stream next week. There's going to be a lot of noise. They're going to be like just basically stripping the whole thing off and redoing it. It's supposed to last approximately a week, so there's a big chance that I won't be streaming for the following 2 weeks. So next Wednesday and then the Wednesday following. If that changes, I'll tweet out, like if the second week I'm able to go ahead and hop on and they're done before the following Wednesday, then I'll tweet out and mention that. But as of right now, the starting next week for the 2 weeks will be off. As well, I'm considering kind of switching up what I had said about our schedule. I had said I was going to stick with the community tours for the foreseeable future until I got through all the ones that were participants in this competition that Carbine hosted not too long ago. But I did want to do some winter themed tours. There's at least 1 or 2 places that I can think of that I had on a list. So we may be visiting some individual plots sometime in December, maybe the week before, the Wednesday before Christmas lands. So just a heads up on that. I haven't forgotten about my talking about visiting some of those that were holiday themed. As well, I had intended last week to visit the second winner, the NA side winner of that um, community showdown competition. I, of course, was sick, which is not unusual. I'm not feeling all that great this morning, but better than I was last week. So we had to skip it, and I had intended to do that this week, just following up, but I had already made prior plans with a fellow builder to tour their place on this day. So it just works out that it's better for everyone's schedule that we stuck with the Wednesday, the 15th scheduling for the builder and myself. So I'll pick up the NA winner the next time that we're on, which will be several weeks from now. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for the slowness in this, but that's just how it works out. This is a busy time of year, I guess, and the renovation for the roofing, we had hoped that it would come in a lot sooner than now. I hate that it's getting ready to hit right when the cooler weather is coming in and stuff, but it's something that's been needing to be done for quite a while, so I'm just happy to get it over with. So yeah, I know it's kind of dragging things out further, but hopefully you guys can bear with me on that. So to that end, we are on the Macalania community built by Arabesque Macalania. Those of you that are heavy into role-playing, you will recognize Ara from the German role-playing group. We've visited some of his places in the past, and we will probably see some familiar areas in this community, but we're going to be touching on all of it. Eris was one of those that participated in the community showdown competition, but actually wasn't mentioned. He neither won nor got an honorable mention thing. But as you can see, just by this little preview that we're looking at here, it's well worth a look. I'm a big fan of Aris for a lot of the things that I've visited in the past. They're one of those that's really into the customization, which I myself am a huge fan of in general. So anyone that's big on that is a-okay in my book. Now, he sent me a big long description of the community. So I'm going to just kind of run through it real quick before we get started, and then we'll just kind of, I've been told I can just run wild, and he will be available to answer questions or point out things that I miss. So each time we come to what I consider the end of a particular plot in this community, I'll double check and make sure there's nothing I missed, and then we'll move on to the next one. So generally it says the community is part of the German RP community, which I mentioned earlier, and represents places located in southern Celestion. Quite a few of the places were already present before the community system went live, but a lot of things have been added since then. They haven't changed anything really since the contest ended, aside from adding a few bits and baubles like some of the new animal NPCs and such. Let's see, I'm going to lose my place here. All the houses, mostly bunkers, are accessible and decorated, so you should definitely look for each indoor location for each little individual plot, which we will be doing. At the very start, there is a bridge. There's a flat inside the roof that can be checked out. It's the home of a tea matron working at the tea house that isn't too far away. The tea house is placed in the center of the community plot, which I assume we're talking about right about here. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see. It's on a giant tree trunk. The northwestern plot, which we will be visiting first, I guess, has the spa on it, hot springs, massage, and an Asian vibe towards it. There's a natural cave under it, which is the bunker. It is also has a sauna. The spa called the Weaves Inn has been around for as long as RS plot and grown from 300 to 1,000 parts back in the day. For the contest, it was reimagined um, from scratch. Some parts at the entrance, including the little river, are the only leftovers from the old plot. The northeastern plot of Tenna is an Oran village close to a dam. It's called the Sanctuary of Wisdom, hence the big library located in the birdhouse. There is also a big meeting place and a lot of little things to discover there. 3 different tree houses that have similar layouts but different details. The dam holds a SimCore entrance. People who visit the plot of Tenna directly are indeed redirected to her plot field, are able to walk to the bottom of the lake. The SimCore that this lake leads to is a work in progress. It's a separate plot. And I believe, if I understand it right, that particular place is not currently open to the public, as again, it's a work in progress, and it'll be heavily used in the RP arena. South of the village is the tea house. The German name for it is, I'm going to say this so wrong, Wipfelbries or Wipfelbrisa or something. Roughly translate to breeze in the treetops, as breeze is part of the owner's name. Further to the east, middle of the calm plot, there is the nursery garden and a little shrine. There is a way from the Oran village to the north that is to this place too. It holds plants from all around Nexus and also has a chamber to cater to the needs of frost plants. The southeastern plot would be the mill. The mill is a lot more maze-ish than the other plots. I had more time with it. Oh dear. After they extended the deadline, it's a more hidden part of Celestion with a swamp and the obvious old, not so abandoned mill on it. On the surface, there is a mill, a little graveyard, a witch hut in the green, and a little moody village below the mill, and the core is a train station underneath the mill, a place where marauders and smugglers exchange and sell wares and booty. But not only that, in the bunker underneath it all is the Phage Ball Arena, sponsored by Protostar, of course. It's a 2-on-2 game where the ball has rather explosive tendencies. Rules are quite simple. You need to score a goal before the head is able to explode. The game is actually playable, and apparently their RP group has had a lot of fun with it, as the Phagebot decor has a use that allows you to play with its head. That's kind of disturbing, actually. Let's see. The mill and the station mostly came into being because they wanted a neutral part for both factions to play on, as all the old parts are exile only in the roleplay sense of things, because obviously Dominion players can visit exile side and vice versa. The plot in the south, the middle, is Ara's plot. Sides a few things at the entrance and a tunnel leading to the mill. Not much has changed. The southwestern plot of Danry is the Gorge. Apparently I streamed that one too. A few things have changed since then, a bit more green and animals here and there. A crystal cave that leads towards another part of the valley. And they placed a little Oran house cave behind the waterfall with a bunker and a new tunnel system with spiders, treasure, and a few other things. And they do mention that a good way to tour the plot is if you come in at the community entrance, to go in a clockwise fashion. So we'll start here and we'll just kind of go around. Opposite of what I did with the last one. So I guess I'm kind of backwards in that sense, but we will follow that way. So there is a really quick kind of rundown of what to expect, and hopefully we will pick up on all of those things as we tour through here. So yeah, good morning to Siskwi, Poi, Ara, Bones, and anyone else that happens to be lurking around in the chat. I'm going to try my best to kind of keep a good focus on that, because again, if there's any questions for Ara specifically, or if Ara decides to leave me some info or point out something that I've missed, I'm going to try and catch that. So we may be going a little bit slower this morning, And I've also told Ara that we will try and stick it out to the whole community's tour today. I know I said we were going to be breaking it down into 2 shots, but again, it's unusual to have the builder, side by side here and willing to stick it out for as long as possible. And just for convenience, I think it would be best if we can just kind of squeeze it all out in one go. So the videos will be broken down into 2 sections later, but we'll see how that goes. Hey, Astra. Good morning. Glad you could join. Excuse me. Okay, so we are in the Macalania community. Again, all of this outer area will be labeled as Macalania, but as we enter different actual individual plots, the name and the builder will pop up, and I'll try and remember to mention those as well. Now, I assume all of these are your alts, correct, Ara? Or is it like you teamed up with a fellow role player just kind of to fill it in and they allowed you to build on their place, or how that worked? I'm not sure. I don't know how the community system actually is sorted out. But you can see this is a great place for screenshot for a good overall view. Uh, Generally, it's a look at this particular plot because obviously you can't see past the building. Yeah, it's a beautiful scenery. You can see some of the newer waterfalls. I don't know what's being used for the water in general here. Let me just take a look, see if I can determine. I suspect it's the upside down silver chalice, exotic silver chalice, just extremely oversized and used for this large space. The reason I say it is because obviously my character looks like she's wading into the water. Of course, if your camera adjusts, then it changes, it looks a little weird. I'm not going to go too heavily into every single item that's being used. You can see that there's obviously lots of different foliage and plants and stones of different types. I mean, I see sandstone and the stepping stones, and this looks like the back of the, what's it called? The taurine head statue. Just because of the way it looks. I think I see it in a few other places as well. These here with the mossy bits hanging down, and see them kind of interspersed here and there. Those are the backs of the ruby-eyed thinker head, the thing that's got the weird, funky whatevers. But yeah, Era confirms that, or Siskwe confirms that that they are all of Ara's alts. So I guess that's kind of handy that you can do a full-on community build just by yourself, which is nice for those that are willing to embark on such a huge project. I saw somebody tweeting out that they were excited about communities, and now that they've gotten into it, they've discovered just how complicated it can be. So yeah, I can imagine. I haven't embarked on it myself. I'm a little scared to do that because I have a tendency to have problems just filling out a single plot. I kind of sequester off most of it, just block it off so I don't have to worry about all of that landscaping. But you can see here, again, it's a lot of hover park pieces. There's some of the tribal mats, pillars, and it looks like domes and such for this bridge that we're getting ready to cross through. Let's just make our way over. Notice the white puffs. That means some of these areas for raised ground is the upside down snowy hills. I'm so happy that Carbine added those those bits to the general housing vendor, because before we were reliant on those upside down massive umbrella trees, and as even though those worked great, they were very expensive in general, 'cause everyone that collected them knew us builders thrived on them. So this is that little over the bridge house, a nice little cubby hole for an individual or a couple. I love the furniture. Again, it's hover part pieces. You see a little bit of uh, inlay work, which is just curved walls that's been inset, and some of those snow blocks for the cushions. Very modern looking furniture. And see how it's easily modified to make a larger couch instead of just the sofa chairs. The fireplace, we see a lot of different kinds of styles on this type of build. Again, it's curved walls, hover part pieces, some fencing here for the little metal grate, and even the back is hover part pieces. Really nice. Little, I don't know if this is like a little lab works. I thought it was a dining table, but then it looks a little like herbalism going on here. Little tray here is just one of those firework crate tops. Again, uh, the fireworks, including the crate and all of these little bits here, those are from the, I think it's called the Starfall event. Once you unlock it, it stays permanently unlocked. So if that event comes around and you have yet to unlock it, it's really worth the time to go through all of the, I think you unlock it through an achievement. You have to collect certain things, and once you do it, it's permanently unlocked. Now, that, including some of the daily login rewards that are unlocked by those that have visited the game for months on end. Those items, if you personally don't have them unlocked, but you know someone that does, if they become your roommate, they can actually buy those items for you, dump it in your crate, and then you have some of those things. So it's not like you're permanently locked out of it, but it's more convenient if you unlock it for yourself, but it is possible to get a hold of some of these items. But yeah, this part here, that, and this little bit here, that's some of those firework bits. The laundry, and then the little bedroom here. I like how the wardrobe is kind of inset. This is reminiscent of the fireplace in the living room area, and then they've just inset the dresser. Okay, so this is the tea lady's house. Excuse me. Notice the bed, again, the headboard and the footboard, or whatever you call it. Those are hover part pieces, and this is an actual, I think it's the Orin bed. They've just inset it inside there so you don't see the original framework of the bed. Just modified it slightly. Excuse me, like all choked up. I'm so emotional. It's got me all get stuck here. Really cute idea to have the house up in this attic part. It's, making use of the space. I can get a good shot here. So all of the housing was up in here. So this is the first one we're going to visit. It's called the Weaves End RP, um, by Leland Laver, I think was the name. just going to follow the path here. I think this is the path. I have no idea where I'm going here. I think it's supposed to be like a little underground water tunnel thing, and you ride the boat to the village here. Maybe I've completely bypassed it. Did I do that on accident? That's what happens when you let me run free. Oh my gosh. Let me go back because I think I've done skipped over to the other one. Whoops. Yeah, I told you. I need like arrows pointing. Oops. Ah, crud. See, at least I realized my mistake. Well, Foodly, where did it go? I'm so lost. Horrible. Okay, where am I? Let's get back up to the bridge here. See, you said I was free to go wherever, and that's what happens. I can just imagine what the maze one's going to be like. I'm going to be so lost. Okay, here's a good shot. The waterfall area and the little house bits here. What's the actual path? I mean, how did I get lost here? Maybe I just stick to the stones? There we go. I think I figured it out. Maybe. No promises. Let's get a good look at the building here. You can see it's got like the granite floors. I really love with the color shifting how that has really toned down the gaudiness of the side of that floor. I really hated using it. I only kind of randomly used it like in the kitchen sometimes. But that green and brown just was kind of but with the color shifting, that really tones it down and makes it look nice. Most of it is hover part pieces for the structure itself, and then of course you can see they've cleverly used layered glass and such. Hey Faye, good morning. Okay, let's see. Did I pass by the door here? Yeah, here's the entrance. Here we go. So I love these little, I don't know if they're supposed to be like little ponds or like little mini terrarium kind of things. We've seen this in a few other places. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some of our stuff that I recognized from before or from other locations, but we've discussed before that it's a great way to kind of sneak in different types of decor. I think we saw one in the past where like a table was turned into like a terrarium with Arctera decor, whereas the rest of the plot was all kind of summery and green and everything, and it was just a way of kind of sneaking that in without clashing the theme or anything. So you see some different ones. This is like a little like mini village, almost like a, what do you call it, a diorama kind of deal. This one just looks like some different kinds of ponds. This one here is a little desert scene. Is that where I got it from? I know I've seen it, the idea before, and I thought it was clever. The seats look to be hover part pieces for this little rim here, with a stool inset into a tube or cylinder. It's the same kind of concept with the tables. Again, it's hover part pieces. I don't remember what they're called, edges or something, or I don't know. There's like 90 different hover part pieces, so I don't even bother trying to keep track of them because I would probably lose my brain or what little I have left to that effort. Got a nice simplified little, I say simplified, it's pretty complex looking, but it's a nice fireplace. Different style than the one we saw before, but still heavily use of the hover part pieces. This little bit here on either side, I think it's Draken fencing. And then of course you've got the fire. Looks like some of the burning tracks. Lots of embers coming out. I'd hate to think the rug get caught on fire there. Let's see, let me go back to the kitchen. There we go inside. These here, I want to say are decking pieces for the cabinet doors. Again, hover part pieces are a big fave for architecture. You can see how they make these awesome archways. It's actually several pieces to get that shape, and they've just put it together nicely. I think it was, oh, I can't even think of all the people that have used it. I myself used it for my my mall, the hover part pieces to get some of the big structures, but you can see how ours used it for not only the architecture of buildings, but for furniture and appliance cabinets and things like that. It's a very versatile set of furniture, those hover part pieces. A big addition to um, the housing community when they added that in. Notice this is one of the tablets, I think, and they've layered in another screen, I think, to make it look like it's actually functioning. Good use of the NPCs. I myself kind of tend not to use them too much. I think my mall is about the only place I use them. And even then, I was hesitant to really go all out. But we've come across a lot of builders that find good uses for them, not only making them look like uh, patrons of whatever buildings they've got, but also the workers. And I've seen some use them for, like, it looks like they've set it up as like almost like a quest giver kind of deal. I wouldn't doubt Katia and some others have used it in that way. This particular plant, it's actually one of those really long stemmed flowers, and they've just sunk it down. Makes it look a little different. Yeah, it's a little weird because it moves, but just got to pretend. Notice too that the sky, I don't know which one R is using in this particular one, but it does come through even on the interior buildings because, you know, technically there is no way to block that. So if you had it set for rain or snow or this little weird purple dust balls, um, then it's going to come through. It doesn't really take away from it, but like if it's rainy, that feels a little weird if you have a custom house on a rainy plot because the rain's actually inside. But if you kind of block that part out, you know, if you're looking for the atmosphere effect of the rain on the exterior, like if it's a spooky plot or something, then you just kind of have to get past that. Here again, we have some other styles of furniture, the two little couch things and the table. Again, it's mostly hover part pieces with pillows inset. I like the way this is done. Nice and clean. And the hover part pieces are thick enough so that you can set it up so that it's not poking through. and then they cleaned it up with domes and such. That's what you see here, back ends, just to make it look a little, adds to the design of it. Again, layered glass on top of the hover part pieces to give it a little bit different look. And again, when you layer the glass, you lay it on top of each other, then you're going to get more frosted look. So the more layers, the more white. That's how you can get multiple different kinds of designs and things going on when you rotate and layer the glass in certain ways. That's how I figured out if I wanted a completely white kind of like canvas for some of the artwork we did in the past. I think I layered it up to like 24 or something, 24, 25 pieces, and that got it like solid white. And so yeah, it's a lot of pieces for that kind of effect. Oh, was it a Holovision Marauder? Okay, for the tablet. Yeah, I've seen some others. I think I saw someone use like, you know how the TV, it's not called the TV, the floating hollow something, but it has that little, uh, I don't know, the blue thingy in front. They'd sink that down and use it for there. And I've seen some other stuff. I think the, what's it called? The tactical table, the animation for it. It's another favorite, but I just don't see it too often. I think most people just don't bother trying to make it look like that, like it's active. I saw a few try to like use white objects like fence posts and things to kind of like maybe make it look like a little chalkboard kind of deal. Um, but at this size, that's not very practical because you'd have to practically zoom in right on it just to see those tiny items. So yeah, doing it like this is a really nice idea for someone to kind of borrow. Okay, here we have, looks like a bathroom. Again, aside from the kitchen area, this is probably my second fave spots to visit in a house of someone that does the custom. You've got domes. This, I think, is the bathroom sink. It's just sunk down, so you just see the nozzle there. Again, I think some of these are decking pieces, bottles for the handles, red moon vent. The glass is just layered glass. It's like probably a few pieces to get that frosted bit going on. And then the lights themselves are just the red moon lights from the vendor. I don't think they actually give off any light, but they sure do feel like it because of the brightness of them. And then the toilet. We gotta love the toilets. It's tubes and domes. There's the tree table here, and I think it's a plate or something for the little plunger push. Really nice and orangey looking. It fits the theme. That's one of the reasons why I think people like to customize a lot of these bits is because um, yes, we have a toilet, the Flushermatic 5000 or whatever it's called, but it doesn't match most themed areas unless you're looking for grimy and gross. So it's almost an imperative to design your own. It's kind of the same thing with like the a lot of the mailboxes and things like that. We like to design our own because maybe we have a certain theme we're going for. So here's a lovely like a grandfather clock. You saw the little cuckoo bird come out. It's actually the Orin clock, and then they've just built around it using, again, hover part pieces, Draken floors, layered glass. a really cute little customized version of it. This here, this little carpet looking thing, I think that's the fancy table. I honestly don't remember how we got access to that, but you can only have like one. I think it's like a unique thingamabob. And then I think we just went into one of the bunker houses here. So you got the little sauna thing going on. This is one of the taurine like tiki lamps posts. It's got a really long, and it's just like a little end on it. A lot of the plants you see, the lilies and stuff, some of these, like this one here, those come from the newer, I think it's the underwater collection, same way with the shell and such. But these here come with the waterfalls, if I remember rightly. Excuse me. No, Bones, I do not. It's probably one of my least favorite. There's a lot of like least faves. I don't like the brown tea, but although I'm starting to kind of go with the flow on that one because I see a lot of people using it in a different way, hiding the legs of it and such. There's a good use of the decking pieces to make these multi-level seating areas for those that are going with the sauna part. I like this. This is I think it's the Chua heat rod or hot rod fireplace. And then they've covered it with those hover part pieces and the curved glass, kind of reminiscent of the one upstairs, just a slight different. And then this here, I don't know, is this like a thermometer kind of gauge? Like curved glass, and then I'm not sure what's being used there for the red part. I wanted to say it was the edge of one of the exile walls, but it's kind of flared here, so I'm not sure if that's the right item. You could use one of the firework pieces. Maybe that's what that is. If you don't have those, you could probably use a Chua pillow also. Try and think of what else. Something along those lines. Okay, so it was the firework one. These towels here, those are from the summer decor pack. There was like 3 different versions. They had the seaweed one, which is this one. I think there's one that's got like pastel stripes, and then another one that's like blue and white or something. Again, a lot of this is like some of the roots, I think, are from some of the mangrove trees, I suspect. Some of the overgrowth, it could be if you have some of those spring decor bits, you could probably use some of the vines from that. I don't know if I'm supposed to go up inside this, just kind of snooping around. Is that the only room in here? If you didn't tell anybody that this is the bunker house, I think they would be hard pressed to recognize it for sure. I think that's the only part, unless I'm missing a hidden room or something. Okay, I'm gonna like, there we go. Again, when it comes to the bunker house, whether it's on the inside or the outside, um, when you're decorating it, like covering it up or kind of making it look a little different, um, your guests have to kind of be aware that they can't like get right up to it. It changes the buttons or it makes it invisible, but right about here is where the door pops. And look at that, I'm like sunk down in here. But that was a clever way of giving access to that area there. I like that. Okay, here's a bit of a, looks like a lounge area, maybe a massage table or something. I'm not quite sure. I love these little deals here. This would be great for not only on the interior of a home or a little spa like this place, but also in a city. You know how they love to have like their rows and rows of perfectly planted trees and such. We've seen a lot of them use like the portable planters as like the base, and this is a different version. I think the ground is the upside down barnacle weed because it kind of looks like that chocolate that I always say that it reminds me of. This wood here, I suspect it's the edge of some of the walls. The walls always have those lips on them of varying woods, and like the dragon one, I think has metal. Um, so I suspect that's what this is. It doesn't look like a particular crate or anything, although that could be used. And then of course hover part pieces. Same way here, hover part pieces and then the snow blocks for this little cushioned area. Fun use of the lop hookah. Make it look almost like incense kind of popping out. See you, Sisqui. And of course the lounge chairs again are the snow blocks. There's an upstairs area. Don't want to miss that. Shelving is nice. It's a little different because it's using the curved bits. Again, I don't know the name of the piece, but it looks nice and smooth. You could probably use different pieces if you want to do it a little differently, but this looks, it's nicely blended rather than like using the long floors or whatever that has that hazard bits coming off of it. I think we need to go up this way. Oops, I got stuck. Again, the railing here, just glass, and see how they overlapped it just a little bit to give it a little design there. Little touches like that that really change things up a little. So here we have, again, this is similar to the little lab works that was in the tea house above the bridge, but it's been turned into a little dining table. Cabinets here, mostly hover part pieces with other things inset, like the orange dressers. A nice overview of the little resting area. Come out onto an open deck here. Just giving you some different views of some of the background. You can see there's a mix of the older waterfalls too. Little bedroom, little storage up here. I like the bed. I like these little inset ones. Again, it could be Aura's Place or it could be Siskiy's that I'm thinking of or some others, but I've seen some where it's like maybe it's Silverion's that I'm thinking of where they're round and it's inset and it looks so nice and cozy. This inset is one of those striped towels, the towels that come from the boxing gym fab kit, just oversized to make it look like a blanket type of thing. Notice the layered glass here, done nicely. Got a great view of the waterfalls outside. Okay, let me remember how to get out of here. Uh, yeah. So this is like the back side of the structure. And you can see they've incorporated some of the fab kits. I think this is the Hot Springs fab kit. And they've built around it, added their own objects in here. Again, that's a great way of personalizing um, the fab kits that are considered decorative by adding in your own little touches. We've seen people use like turn some of them like the one with the two fish in it. They turn into like a little fishing pond with a deck and or dock and fishing poles and stuff like that. And the sauna is a big fave because you can add drinks and towels and other sorts of goodies. We've seen some add in changing rooms for their patrons and all that kind of stuff. The decking pieces were used nicely here. I think these would be the changing rooms maybe with the pillars added in. Yeah, I think that's what these are supposed to be. Again, decking pieces for most of this. Yeah, we're coming up on the upper edge of this. Now, this bridge here, I'm trying to remember the actual name of this, like Brooka's Bridge or something. It's like a super rare item. I've only seen it for sale once on the auction house. Um, if you don't have that, we do have just generic rope bridges, and you can add your own pillars at the end. We've seen folks use not only the like Gothic pillars, but you could use regular pillars or some of the fence posts work really nice, depending on the theme that you're going for. If you have a Draken village, then obviously you want to go for some Draken style decor to put those up. So, if you don't have this fancy bridge, it's not the end of the world. The regular generic rope bridges will work just fine. If you want to go for something else different, we do have other types of materials you can use for that. We've seen people using different kinds of fences, including some of like the Oran viney fences. There's also the, I don't know what you call it, we've seen many people use the hover park pieces, stones, um, regular floors, and then decorate it well. Again, it just depends on the kind of theme you're going for. But yeah, don't be upset if you can't find this because as far as I know, it's a really rare drop. Morning, Linkar. Glad you could join. Let's see. Don't want to miss anything here. Oops, get up there. Okay, this is a little creepy looking. Got these little Hugel statues, and the glowy effect is from, I think it's from some of those haunted items. Yeah, you can see that you can actually cleanse. It's like the hat on a stick, like the Jack shade, and the one with the, it looks like a mask with the weird blonde hair coming out of it. Uh, we showed you that before when we were looking at some of the spooky plots. It's just a really cool effect. It kind of a little creepy looking, great for making, if you're going for like a magical effect or a haunted effect, or just, you know, I could see someone turning this into like a some kind of a weird little pool of water because it has that funny animation in it. Um, this is just above the spa that we come out of, using some of the winding rivers and the old style waterfalls. And then you can see the new style over here. Obviously, they're a little bit more intense, and for as far as the animation that they have, they also have their own misty effect and splash effect. For these type, the old version, folks use like the upside down uh, medical cot. There's also the what's it called? The buoyant blue crystal has kind of a misty, smoky effect. I could see someone also using this as like for the base, like this part here, for their own style of waterfall. You could easily color shift this waterfall to match this coloring, I think. I've seen some bluish green versions of that. So again, always new ways of using the same items. It kind of makes it fun. So here got a little bit more overall view. There's the bridge we came across on, and over here is kind of the entrance to the community itself. Okay, see if we can back down here. Wow, you did that part like 2 years ago. Well, that's probably why the old waterfalls are still there. Because I imagine if you tried to incorporate some of the newer stuff, then that you would have to reposition a lot of the stones and things just to make it look right. Okay, I'm trying to see if we've covered. I don't want to skip off into the other zone until I'm comfortable with the thought that we've seen everything out here. Whoops, it's stuck on the path. Okay, I think we're getting ready to go off into the next one. So have we seen everything of real significance on this particular plot? I don't want to leave it until I'm sure about that. Guess I could get us closer to the, wow, that's really deep. And get out of here. Come on. This is where you would come in if you visit the Weave's End individually. You would zone in right here. Yeah, see, now we're into the community part that divides the next section. And this is probably one of the toughest parts about setting up a community is being able to blend the plots together. It might make it a little easier if the kind of the theme is similar. Um, Little island. Okay, let me backtrack here. Um, when the themes or the looks of the plots are similar, I think the blending maybe is a little easier because you're not having to blend, like, say, a desert piece with a winter piece and having to somehow figure out the best way to transition between the two zones. But I think it's still a challenge regardless on trying to keep it smooth and looking realistic. I think this is the little island Ara is talking about. I love the weeping plants. They're probably my favorite. I made a tree out of those once. That was a pain in the rear end. So I don't recommend it for anybody. But I love those. And with the color shifting, you can change them from white easily if you don't want um, that particular look. Okay, we're back into the outer area again. Okay, so was it good to just, I think we can just take that path from the main where I was a second ago. Let me see if I can figure out how to get back. I'm going to get myself stuck if I'm not careful. Well, don't hesitate to let me know if I've really missed something major because I definitely don't want to do that. Okay, so we're moving off into the second plot of this particular community. Again, remember, all of these are Ara's alts. See how that's just nicely blended? You don't even notice you're going from one section to another. Obviously, you see the name pop up when it happens, but so this is the Macalania Sanctuary section, Tenna Browstrom or something. I didn't catch that. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to stick to the path or what, but I'm just going to kind of wander here. So you can see the entrance area to the one, and then you see how there's another path. See how they made that? Another way to go if you don't want to follow the route I take. Is this the one that leads supposedly to the other plot? This little what did you call it? Sim core? Is that what you were talking about before, or mentioned in your write-up? This almost looks like it could be transformed into like a giant swimming pool. You see these as like little diving boards or something. Again, hover part pieces galore in a lot of the building construction. So this is like a water dam, and then the sim court is at the base. Now again, this is part of a role-playing community, so they have it set up in a way that in theory, you would be transported to another plot, which, like we said before, is actually um, in a work in progress. Look at all these stones. If you're wondering about these particular stones here, if I'm not mistaken, because I've used them quite a bit in the past myself, these are the bottoms of the bulletin board. It's like a big, tall bulletin board, and at the base there's a pile of rocks. So if you turn it upside down, it looks like little pebble stones. I've used it in a lot of pathing for some, but this works really great, lining it for this little lake part. I think it's a renowned item, if I recall rightly. So it's not cheap. I think it's like 2,500 if I remember correctly. Um, so, you know, you got to be sure about how you want to use it and stuff. But it's certainly a different type of rock. That's stuck on the silly. I like the towers. I think they're using, it looks like the leaf windows for some of these roofs. Roofs. Yeah, you can see the leaf part right there. Again, that's that ghosty effect coming in there. A little closer view on the leaf windows, and just like 3 or 4 of them make the little peak there inside the tower, or for the tower. Doesn't look like you can go in the towers though. I love the little garden here. We've seen different ways of doing this. Some use rounds, some use like tiered grounds. This is kind of a cute way of doing it, these little squares. It's reminiscent sort of the actual garden fab kit. It's kind of hard to tell what they're using for the dirt. It's got a slanted pattern to it. So I assume it's the base of a particular item, but I honestly couldn't tell you. A lot of us like to use the Draken walls because of the marble look. It has like a brown and rusty, muddy look to it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what this is. Okay, I can access all the towers. I see the door to this one. I didn't spot that one over there, but we'll take a look anyway. Because while there may not be much in here, I can imagine someone, if they just want a tower house or something, they could easily modify this with a little bit more detail. Almost fell down there. There you go. A little bit closer look to the roof there. Are they all about similar in that regard? Or should I check out each one out? Is there something different in each one? I'm asking, and I'm just going to go look anyway. But yeah, I could easily see somebody furnishing this out. I wouldn't doubt, just because of the detail that I know Ara is capable of, that a lot of these things probably would be more, um, I don't want to say interesting because it's already interesting as it is, but there would be so much more detail if the cap was raised as far as the core bits. Welcome back, Siskly. That was like a short drive. Didn't you say you were going to drive or somewhere? Would have taken that long just for me to get out of the house. Okay. Has it been that long? It doesn't feel like it. Gosh. Okay, off to the middle here. Let's see. No, let's go back up. I see a little house up there. Let's see. I think we go on it here. And see, these kind of things make me nervous because they don't have railings to keep goofballs like myself safe from falling. So here's another good, again, it's different than this structure, but it's reminiscent because of the use of items. Looks like they've kind of colored these a little different because these look more green. It could be lighting that's being used that's modified it slightly, but that's a great way to tie in the architecture for a particular zone or area, or maybe even the whole community if you use this kind of roofing throughout. This looks like a, what is it, a little bungalow kind of thing. Uh, Again, hover part pieces for most of this architecture. This looks like the snow blocks, just maybe recolored a little bit. A little bathroom here. Same kind of setup with the toilet as before. A little rotated off, just to kind of fit the space that's left here. Even comes with a little shower here. It's just the tureen head with the waterfalls popping out of the eyes. Yeah, the cap is a struggle for builders like yourself, Ara, so I sympathize. Again, I love using these, the use of these curved bits for the shelving. Like the little coffee warmer thing here. The toaster is just, I think it's the detonator thing. And I think they're using this as the knife holder. I think Poi used it that way in a house before. At least that's what it reminds me of. Maybe not being used that way. The stove top here, I think, is the back of a travel poster, and then just either bowls or cylinders being used for the little stovetop pads, or whatever you call them, the burners. This could be easily, some kind of book storage for like a library. Again, a lot of things like that probably don't get the attention that they would love to get because, again, it's the core count thing, a limit. Look at the windows being used as the base here. It almost looks like an acorn kind of look to it. Oops. Okay. Now this bit here, see if I can get up there. These are bridges to make this little A-frame looking thing. Almost like a heart, upside down heart. It's the Orin bridges, and they turned it into a little structure here, which I thought was awesome. I mean, how clever is that? Just using an item that you, in a way, you just wouldn't expect, but it looks really nice, doesn't it? Like a little roofing kind of thing, like it was meant to be that way. You can see some of the Winterfest fencing used for the rails here. The barrels here, I think those are the metal / wooden barrels, and they're just showing the wooden part. If you can't get a hold of those or don't like the look of it, you can use the feeding troughs. Those work out pretty good. We've also seen some folks use, actually these might be the vintage beer mugs. I see the handles here. All of that will work really good for barrels. A little disturbing with the corpse there, but I guess they're cooking up some dinner. The little trays here, or the mats, those are just the Orin desks, I think. And then a little storage area here. Here's that metal wooden half and half. It's really not half and it's more like a third and 2/3. Yeah, that does work really good with the domes on top there. If you're wanting to add the little tap, the hammers are probably a fave, although you could probably use other things to work as well. I think the hammers are just easily accessible off of the vendor, so a lot of people resort to that. I like how you're able to sneak in some of the Winterfest stuff here and there. The string lights and probably some other things you'll see throughout. I think those come from the LOP vendor, the LOP decor pack. Looks like a little gypsy home or something. She's got her curtain up. It's domes, hover part pieces. I think that's the bug window. It almost looks space agey too. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but that's what it reminds me of. I love this little setup here with the almost like a 4-leaf clover kind of style going on for the different tables. But just look at the complexity of the design, the inlay and the stairs and just the shape. The little food here, this is kind of gross because I think if you look closely, I think this thing pulsates. Yeah, it's like, I can't remember what it is. It's like on a little, like an altar kind of thing. It's really disgusting. But I don't know, maybe it's like a weird Orin meatloaf or something. So much detail going into all of this. I mean, even the candle holder is custom. It's, I don't know what it is. It looks like part of a chimney kind of thing and something else. And this one's open, similar to the one over there where it was closed. This part here, I think, is one of those taurine masks. Nice use of the lighting to give it kind of an underlighting effect. This is one of those floral posts. Yeah, the clipping where it's like a little flashy and stuff, that's fairly common. I'm even guilty of it sometimes, but yeah, you're right. This is always so smooth and very precise. Seems like someone with some architectural experience or background. Let's see. Still don't want to wander off too far. There wasn't anything under the bridges, right? Let me look right here. Yeah, I didn't think so. Just wanted to be sure. Almost like a little hobbit village up here. Now, I think this is the plot with the Hoogle house. Am I right? Gosh, jumped into something here. Yeah, I think that's the Hoogle house. Am I not? If I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong, but that's what this I think is supposed to look like. A Hoogle house. It's a faux one, clearly, because you can't go in the door or anything. But I like the way they've used the statue with the socketed eyes to make it look like there's curtains and like it's not quite a balcony type of setup, but it makes it look like a little Hoogle house. Of course, the door is the tree table with some cover part pieces to kind of trim it, and then a bottle for the door handle here behind here. I think this is leading off to the next plot. I don't want to get too far in. Yeah, we'll check that out in a bit. Whoops. The problem with the grass is being taller than my character. I get stuck under there. Okay, let's wander back down. Oops. Okay. I think this is the part that leads to the actual Hoogle house. Now, I can't honestly say if there's anything added to the house itself because I've only seen it bare a few times, and I'm sure it has some different alterations like the other prefab homes. But I can say it's probably among the larger spaces that are available for a prefab building if you're looking for a lot of room to play with. This part here, the little gate or entranceway, I think it's the horns of one of the mounted heads, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that's part of it. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Here you can see we're in the library. I love little details like this little strange little pattern. It's just floors that have been layered on top of each other. But, you know, not just the recoloring, but just the way the pattern is laid out, how they've overlapped, you know, chosen to leave the little like patchwork part visible. Little things like that makes it fun. Here's the librarian studiously doing something weird. And then, of course, you have the bookshelves. Now, again, some people prefer not to use the same bookshelf over and over and over. I myself have tried to disguise it by adding in my own other books or knickknacks in between to kind of break up the monotony of it. Um, Others actually go through the trouble of putting in their own books, filling their own shelves. When it's a structure like this, where it's an actual library, I don't have a problem with having the same one repeated over and over, because clearly it would be so much of a hassle, so much decor use if you try to fill each individual shelf yourself. Now, if it's just for a simple one wall thing, then yeah, I would opt preferably for um, doing my own book setup. But this is great. And in addition to that, they again have chosen to cover up the actual bottoms and tops and sides of the shelf, trimming it with all of this hover part pieces. Um, so it just makes it look a little cleaner, a little fancier looking than just leaving it with the, you almost don't even notice that it's the same one over and over. It just fits. But you can see how much space is in this building. I mean, we're already on the second floor, and then there's an additional floor. Look at that. It's crazy. It's basically what, four layers to this? So it just tells you how massive the space is. But look at the design, the smoothness of the pathway. Uh, I myself always had trouble with staircases and such, trying to get them to run smoothly. Having the option to use these ramps instead is helpful. They're not ideal in all cases. Like I had trouble with it in uh, my mall. It didn't quite line up like I wanted, but I don't know if it's easier to do the staircase first and then build around that, or vice versa. I think I did it vice versa, and I had some major problems with it because I didn't want to patch up right where I wanted it. But this looks just perfectly done. I mean, look at that. It's just nice and smooth. And yes, the building itself is on the roundish side, but they get away with kind of squaring it up by um, having the soft curves. Even here, it's all nicely blended. A really nice use of this particular building. We don't see the Hugel House too often. I think we've only visited a couple others in the past. So it's nice to be able to see this used. And yes, it's dark, but they use the lighting um, well. Makes it look like a nice, welcoming library to visit. Okay, let's see, where else do I need to go? Okay, that was the gardens. The lake is up there. Go this way. I keep flashing to the plot screen because I'm using that kind of as my guide as to where I have been and haven't been, so I don't get too off track. It kind of helps that some of these paths are kind of sort of laid out clearly. Okay, this is the lake again. Yeah, we should be able to go inside here. Again, it's relatively empty, but I'm still gonna go up it just to show. Maybe you get a different view of the area around. There's the lake, and then the little cut to the next side. Let's see, did we go inside there? I don't know. I lost my way again. Kind of off the path here. Here's a little barn. I like this. I don't know if you can recognize it. It looks like the Oran gates that are being used. So it'd be, I guess it'd be like 4 of them as the little roofing here. I like that idea. That's pretty clever, actually. Okay, which way are we heading? Okay, so this is back. This is kind of the in-betweeny area. Again, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I'm not touching on just because of how expansive this is. Let's see, I think this is the entrance to another building. I think these are the little tree houses they mentioned in their write-up. Gonna fall. Know it. So here's another one. Again, using the curved walls and the snow blocks. Little sitting area. Now, with use of the KVT program, the add-on, once they build a structure, if they like the layout of it, it's really easy to make that a set, save the set, and just copy it. Makes it easy for those of us that don't want to have to try and rebuild the same structure over and over. Now, for those that like to mix it up a little bit and change the shape of the structures and stuff, yeah, obviously that would be the way to go. But I think the idea here was to use the same little treehouse setup and just change the interior details a little bit, like color shifting things and whatnot. But you can see the layout is pretty much the same as the one we were in before, just modified slightly. Or is this the one I was in before? I don't know. Maybe, maybe it is. I don't think so, but who knows? Okay, let me go down here. Yeah, I don't think that was the one we were in before because the other one didn't have railing, if I remember right. Oops. My jumping sucks. Getting dizzy with the windy path. Here's the third one. Okay, so the sleeping and stuff is different, but the kitchen and stuff is the same. Okay. See, here's the next one. Yeah, you can tell the bedrooms are definitely different. I love this bed here. It looks so over the top. Almost space agey too. I can imagine someone putting in something a little bit more crisper and white and just make it look like one of those rejuvenating beds. But look at that, having the orange windows there as the headboard and footboard with the hover part pieces. And then having that design replicated here at the foot. Just tying it in. Again, little details like that really go a long way. Okay, let me see if I can get down here without hurting myself. Okay, so is that about cover it for this particular plot? I went to the house, that's the library. I feel like I'm missing something. I think I've been all through here, but are you standing where I haven't been? I'm kind of watching where your character goes too. That's helpful. Okay, that one. That's the little hay hut. I think we went over here. This bridge here looks different. What is it? Okay, that's leading out to the other plot below, I think. Is that here the gate you're talking about? Am I at the right spot? Southwestern edge. Okay, so I'm in the right spot, I think. See, what an amazing little setup here. Get on the top of this gate here. You can see the little tree houses here. Well, not that way, but and while it's really foresty, it doesn't feel claustrophobic. Some plots I go to, it feels so compact that it almost feels overdone. But this, it's foresty. There's lots of trees and plants and things, but it still feels open. I think it's just because they're using the real large canopies as more as a topping over the entire area rather than feeling like they got to put all these trees. Because again, if you crowd it too much, then you don't get shots like this where you have a nice scene of not only the forest but the houses and stuff intermixed into there. Because like if they had a bunch of trees here, we would miss this little scene. And so again, it looks really foresty, nice and full, but it's not to the point. I mean, no matter where you look, it looks nice and capped, I guess, with the foliage, but not in a overpowering sense. I don't feel like it's too crowded, which some places fall to that. It's not that it's bad. Some actually aim for that, which is okay, but okay, so we're back into the kind of no man's land area. And I think this is the tea house thing that they were talking about that's in the center of the community bit. So here we have a little, it's not exactly a fountain, I don't think, just a little water bit. I don't know if it's layered glass or what. And then I think this bit, it's usually really colorful. I think they just color shifted it a little. Here's some more of that lot decor kit. You got the tent and the curd. It also comes with things like the hay pile here, and there's some boxes and crates and jugs and stuff that are separately, and in addition to the string lights and things like that. Is this one of the new animal NPCs, the Equibar? It's good for those that have been wanting to have some kind of a setup for their mount. Um, if they write an Equivar in game, they've been wanting the Equivar that they can put on their plot. And this is the answer to that. I think some of the inner critters are like the Jabbit and the WildStar, because up till now we've been kind of forced to use like WildStar plushies as, if we want a bunch of little goat sheep like things. But yeah. So here's, I guess, the tea house. It's a lot of domes, cylinder kind of things, hover part pieces. Uh, they've turned this into a tea house, but I could easily see this being used as like if someone wanted to have like a what do they call it, an observatory. I could see someone like building this and then having like the telescope poking out or something, or just a house, someone's personal residence, another type of tree house type of deal, a guild hall thing. There's all kinds of things you could use this for. Again, notice how they've got the bookcase just blocked in, so it looks a little different than just having it sitting there. Little bathroom area. The rugs are just the tops of those desks. The sinks are just the dressers with cylinders and domes, or domes. It's two domes, one of those. The toilet, again, it's similar to the one we saw before. Notice the pattern here. I think this part where it looks coppery is the back side of that new sigil, the Marauder sigil. If I'm not mistaken on that. It could be the backside of another piping thing or whatever too. There's some of those, but it looks similar to that. And then look at the patterns of the cover part pieces overlaid on that. There's a little display case with some of the food wares. I see a lot of use of, like, there's the snow-covered rocks, tops of some of the rockets from the firework collection. This one again is, I think it's made to look like strawberries or something, some kind of fruit bits. But it's just the tops of the rockets, and with the snow uh, blocks. These little bits here, those are just some of those soccer balls, the sporty spheres, I think is what it's called. Um, I like the way the drawer is kind of open here, so you can see how they've got it set up. So it just slides open, you get the canisters and stuff. And then all the different teas. Again, some of this is firework bits. Maybe these are the recipes for the different teas. These drawers here, those are just metal crates inset in there. It's one thing nice about using the hover part pieces for countertops and such. You've got plenty of thickness there to kind of hide things inside. If you want to make drawers or cabinets or whatever. Over here, lots of the tribal mats. Tribal mats come from the Far Trader Fab Kit. Again, it's a limited item. Like, you go in, you visit the Far Trader, and there's like one, but it like regenerates after so long. I don't know what the time frame is, like after an hour or two. Just visit now and then. Make it a daily thing for yourself if you want, and you can buy both the flat and the rolled version. if you're looking for a lot of the tribal mats. I got some other things, but I think that's one of the faves from that particular vendor. Okay, so that's the tea shop. Again, that was just in the center here, in the what I call the no man's land. It's not really the communal areas. I think they said that there's like a 4 or 5,000 decor cap for all of this space that's not part of the individual plots kind of deal. Okay, trying to figure out how to get to the next one here. Guess we go this way. Ours just hanging out in the woods there. Probably wondering where the heck am I going? Okay, so you can see parts of it. There's a bridge. I see the windmill here, and then this area over here. So let's see. So this is still some of the in-betweeny. I'm kind of going at it backwards, I think. I'm seeing some stuff that I missed from before. So I think that's the lake with the dam over there. And then there's a path coming from that direction up to this little Asian style bits. I don't know what this is, like some kind of a shrine. But look at the complexity of the roof even. Awesome with the flaring here. A lot of us have tried to do Oriental style roofs and such for buildings, and this is probably the most original I've come across in a while. It's just floor pieces and then hover part pieces and then the dome. The red bits here for like the beams, those are the firecracker fireworks. Something I use pretty prevalently in my own Asian build. You can see the wicks, or I think it's called the wicks, of the fireworks sticking up there. The shiny part here, honestly don't know what that is. I suspect it's like, I have no clue. The base of one of the statue heads, maybe? I think they're kind of shiny. I would almost say it's the bottom of the gear trophy, but I don't think it's shiny like that. So maybe the base of like the bust of Malvolio or something, and they've just used it multiple times here for that. I'm gonna guess. 4,000 cap for the no man's land, the areas surrounding the individual plots. It's not a lot, considering how much space there is. That's outrageous. But you can see how well Ara utilized the space and really went all out in doing the water features, the stones, little things like this with the bridge and stuff. Again, the bridge is mostly hover part pieces, those firecracker fireworks, floors, domes, this little bit here. Really beautiful little bridge. Nice little sitting area under not quite a bonsai tree, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. And look at this awesome building with the round windows. Again, hover part pieces and floors, or triangle things, one of the two. Domes. Crazy. Somebody buried something there. If you're wondering about these little things that look like a cherry blossom tree, those are I think it's the tall finger flowers. Um, they're perfect. They're pink and they just kind of look like cherry blossoms. It's just that you have to use a lot of them to kind of flesh it out. So if you're pinched on decor count, that's maybe not the best way to go. Okay, so this is like the like a terrarium kind of thing. Look at the design here. Again, this is just layered glass arranged in a pretty pattern. And with it layered and overlapping, the frosting comes out different. So it looks like a pretty star up top for this little greenhouse type of thing. And it's got all the winter decor. So this is what I'm talking about, being able to bring in a different seasonal decor into this lush forest, and then you have this winter thing right in the smack in the middle, and it works. Yeah, the cherry blossoms. Ours says this one is 10. I think mine was more in the 20 range for the ones that I built on mine. I did mine a little differently than you did yours. Uh, I left the trunk empty and I just fleshed it all out at the top. I don't really know how accurate mine was, but that's how I did mine. And I'm pretty sure I used a lot more than 10. I wanted it nice and full. And I even put some on the ground so it looked like the blossoms had fallen off. It was not exactly easy because, again, that tree moves, so it looked a little weird. This, again, there's been other examples that we've just kind of bypassed, but I just want to point out this is a way of making the potted plants that we already have a little bit different by adding in different types of plants inside it. Hey, that's me right there. I'm in the window. Again, I think that's the back side of that sigil. Notice the, what do you call it, hedge clippers or whatever. It's just a pair of knives. This here kind of looks like some kind of a vase or bottle of some sort. I think that's the exile fence post. It's actually got a part on it that rotates. And look at these clever little deals. I want to say these are the bases of the trophy, but it could be that Malvolio thing again. And again, the stones, I believe, are from that bulletin board thingamabob. But look at the glass. Again, the layered framed glass. So many different patterns you can make. Just kind of play around with it. We've seen some that make like sun shapes, flowers, like rose patterns and stuff. I made some hearts for the Valentine bit. Look at this. This is some clever use of the wall edges or floor edges with curved walls and straight ones to make this incredible design. I don't know what this is supposed to be, like the evil eye or something, but look at that. It's an amazing way of doing lettering. I don't know if it's like elements or something, but how incredibly cool is that? Maybe this is supposed to be like a water feature with this built into it. Oh, is that the WildStar room? Oh, it's probably because there's somebody posting a bunch of WildStar elements, and like saying it's the Illuminati or something, and I don't know what. That's probably why it's stuck in my head like that. So just ignore my comment there. Here's the different, again, it's like these little terrarium kind of biodome areas here, these little greenhouse sections. So this one's got like a lot of mushrooms and stuff. Like almost not quite swampy feel because of the water, but really nicely done. I like this a lot. It's like the little garden house kind of thing. Dang it. Yeah, because this was more like deserty feel to it, sort of. But yeah, this is really awesome. And this is a great way if someone's looking for a different way of doing maybe a pattern in their floor or for a lobby of an office or some other kind of main structure, come up with some kind of a symbol. But this is definitely pretty cleverly done. Okay, so where are we? We aren't even on the house yet, so get my way out of here. Oops. Okay. Lost the door. Where's the door? There it is. Thought I was trapped. Okay. Don't want to miss this. This is a nice little water feature. Again, people are always looking for interesting ways of doing the fountains and such. I thought this reminds me. It's not exactly like it, but it reminds me of like a bamboo kind of thing. I don't know if that's the way you were aiming for, since it is kind of Asian themed. That's definitely what the vibe it's giving me. A little bamboo. Uh, Obviously, we can't do the one where it's like the little one where it fills up and then it tips down that you see like an anime and stuff. But that's what this strongly is reminiscent of. Um, but yeah, I like this particular little fountain thing very much. Ah, so I was on the right track. Awesome, because sometimes I'm afraid I don't get the right vibe or describe something the way the builder wants, and I feel bad about that. But I like how you kind of covered up even this little part here, just to kind of blend that in, so you don't notice that it's just kind of coming straight out of the wall of that. But yeah, I really like this one a lot. The very perfect. Little addition there. Don't want to miss these either, the little lantern bits. I think it's I want to say it's a falcon. It's not the falcon one. It's I don't know what fire pit that is, but it's just inset in some domes, curved walls, and then the hover part pieces. I went more with the I tried to go for like the rice paper look and just used a lot of layered glass, but that's really item intensive the way I did it. Now I think Kai did one that used a single layer, but they went more for a pattern look, and it worked out really nice. But yeah, that's some awesome stuff. Yeah, the stone pattern definitely does. I think it's the same stuff that we were talking about earlier. Let me go back. See, these are the stepping stones you get from Starcom Basin, but these here is the base of that called the bulletin board, makeshift bulletin board, I think is the actual name. And like these purple flowers here, those are the tips of that one like octopus looking plant.